Hi guys, this is Yao Kai here at Investing with GYK, and then today we'll be talking about the Tesla Roadster. So Tesla released its new Roadster that's supposed to go from 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. It's 200 kilowatt hour of battery, has like 620 miles of range. You know, everything that's nice. So that was released in I think it's like Thursday night. So that was Thursday night, which was the 16th of November 2017. So it looks all very interesting. So I have one just suspicion about it. Mainly its weight. 200 kilowatt hour battery sounds it's going to be extremely heavy. So I want to find out exactly how much this car is going to weigh, and I'm going to calculate it in two different ways and see what kind of numbers I come up with. Right, so first, we could start off by basing this car on the Tesla Model S, which is, I would say, it's like its older brother. Yeah, so how do we find the Model S numbers? Very fortunately, on EPA, the document index system, if you search for Tesla motor, as we did in my previous video, you should see this filing in. So this, filing here. So this is the newest filing that they have. So we can open it up, and they will give us a lot of numbers. So if you search for curb weight, there should be like Model S. Oh, actually, here's another one. So yeah. So here's, all the numbers, and so the top of the line P100D weighs 4,939 pounds. Okay, so let's put that somewhere. Okay, that'll be our base. All right, so first we need to find out how much more the battery weighs. To find that out, we need to find the specific, the battery specific energy for the Tesla batteries. So specific energy. Guess what? It's over here. This is also one of their filings. It's 170. 170. The unit is watt hour per kilograms, right? So that just means we have 100 additional. This is watt hour, so this is 1,000, so kilowatt hour. So I'll put another 30 divided by 170. So that should give us kilos. So 588 kilos. So kilos to pounds. So we translate that into pounds. So it's 1,296. Call it 1,300. So you add 1,300 to it in weight. All right, so now you're at 6,239. Obviously, the Roadster is going to be lighter because some of the stuff in the Model S is not going to be applicable for the Roadster. So let's look at this thing. Tesla, the website seems to be a fairly legit website about Teslas. And here you have this weight distribution. My battery pack we already took into account, so we can ignore that. All these motors. All right, so this thing has two motors. It's Model S P100D. D standing for dual drive, so you got two motors. But as Elon Musk mentioned, the Roadster has actually three motors. So the motor I happen to know the motor in Model S is 70 pounds. So let's just add another 70 pounds to this. Differential you probably need to keep. The wheels probably will not get any lighter, probably more heavier because now you have a performance car. They're bigger wheels, wider, and all that. Brakes, same. I cannot imagine them getting any lighter. Suspension is probably the same. You probably have no rack. All the electrical things will probably be the same. So let's subtract 50 to account for the rack. And windshield, probably nothing changes. Panel glass, wow, you no longer have the panel glass. So you can subtract 150. You know, you need all the carpeting, you need all the dash. You have essentially 2 rows, but the second row is like a puny row. Let's say, you know, you can subtract another 50 pounds from here. And doors and whatnot, you know, everything here is going to be needed. And we have also, if you look at the Roadster, the top can be taken away, which means this is a convertible. A convertible usually means more weight compared to a coupe. So the reason is that you need the same stiffness, but now you don't have the thing on top. So let's say that you cut down some other things in size, but then you have to add it back in to stiffen up the chassis. I would call it a wash. So and the other thing is people might say, oh, this thing can be made out of carbon fiber and be a lot lightweight, and essentially that will cut into this 800 pounds of aluminum frame. But if you look at any car that's made purely out of carbon fiber, these are usually $1,000,000 cars. Carbon fiber at the moment is extremely labor intensive to make. Right? So a $200,000 car is not going to have full carbon fiber. That's just a fact. You can't afford it. And even like a $300,000 car, if you look at let's say McLaren or something. If you look at a McLaren's 720S or something, they don't have full carbon fiber. They have a lot of carbon fiber, but they're not completely made of carbon fiber. So that's not going to be there. So they'll probably still continue to use aluminium. So that's still going to be your 800 pounds, if not more, because the reinforcement to compensate for the convertible chassis, and then also you now have a heavier battery pack, which means there's more tension anytime you accelerate, and you have to support now this 1.9 second acceleration. I would say, it'd be lucky if we don't end up with more weight structurally. Okay. So this is about what we get by going up from the Model S. So we're looking at like 6,000 pounds. Another way we can think about this is we can start off from a different kind of sports car, and then see like an existing sports car and see what kind of weight you get from there. So what I started off with is basically I was thinking about 911 because I own a 911, and then I want to just compare that against that. So I first started off with the Porsche's website, but I realized that in 2000, and I think it's 14 or 15, I don't exactly remember when, they basically put they put a bunch of turbos on every single 911, and that made it heavier. Right, so let's find an older model that's potentially lighter. The 2013 Carrera S is slightly lighter than the 2017 one, and the weight, I think, somewhere here. Curb weight. Oh yeah, and the other thing is this is also a cab. So this is a convertible too, right? So Cabriolet, convertible. So you got it here, and with a PDK. All right, so you got 3,270 pounds. All right, so that's your starting. Let's just jot this down. So we got starting, sorry, based on Model S equals 6,059, and based on 911S equals. All right, we'll get that number. Okay, so this is how much weight we have without any modification. So now we need to strip out all the engine and the transmission and the fuel and potentially the oil. Right, so the engine weight, the best I can find is a 997, so that's like 2011 engine. That's 200 kilograms. I couldn't find the number for 991, which is the 2012 to 14 model. But as you can see, going from 996 to 997, you actually don't end up with much change, and 991 has a bigger displacement, and I would imagine they're either heavier or at least as heavy as a 997. So that means we are looking at 201 kilo 2 pounds. That's 443 pounds. So let's call it 450. Okay, so, oh, I forgot to put the number in. 3,274 minus 450. And then we have to subtract the PDK, the transmission. So transmission, I looked it up on Car and Driver, which is fairly reputable, and this thing shows with all the lubricants and oil cooler, it's 256 pounds, right? So you subtract that, and now you come to fuel. The fuel in here, the fuel tank between the model years didn't change. The fuel is 64 liters, and the curb weight accounts for 90% fuel. So you're looking at 64 times 0.9, 57.6 liters of fuel, and the gasoline's density, according to Wikipedia, somewhere here says finished marketable gasoline is traded as standard reference of blah. So okay, so we multiply that. That's going to get you the kilos. So we're looking at 43 kilos. So we convert that to pounds. We're looking at 95 pounds. All right, so let's just say 96 pounds. So you now subtract 96 pounds. So that now we have gotten rid of all internal combustion engine specific things. Everything that's left presumably will be needed by the the Roadster as well. Just as a car, you got the shell basically. You have the chassis, you have all the covering, all the metal things that cover it, and you got the wheels, you got the brakes, and you know, all the creature comforts like air conditioning units and all that. So I assume you will be getting those as well with the Roadster. So now we just need to add back the electric car specific parts to the weight. So one way is you can compute the battery weight, right? So battery weight, we know the density that Tesla has is 170. So now we're looking at 200 kilowatt hours. So put 3 more 0 there. Divide by 170. So that's your kilos. Kilo to pounds. So we're like looking at 2,596. 2,600. Call it that. So now you add 2,600 pounds of weight as battery. And you also need the drive units, right? So if you go back here, you have 350 worth of electric motor and inverter. So, and remember we have a bigger, oh sorry, we have an additional motor and potentially a bigger inverter. So I think in the last computation, I actually added just 70. Now I think maybe it's more like, like 100, because your inverter will be bigger. You're now taking more power and feeding it into your motors. So now you have to add the 350, and then add the additional 100 pounds. So you're looking at 5,522. So I guess the difference is because we started off with Model S, which is a bigger car basically, and a 911 is just a smaller car, and maybe the frame weight is lower, and maybe the seats are smaller, space is smaller, and everything, right? So this is what you get. That means if we base it off 911, we might get 5,522, and the other thing is, you do need to probably reinforce your Roadster compared to 911, because now you're carrying 5,000 pounds of stuff. You need probably a fatter axle, wider wheels, and maybe you even need a rebar of some sort. I don't know if I use rebar in the correct way, but you can imagine it'd be a little bit heavier just to compensate for the massive battery it has, because whenever you accelerate in either way, you get tension building up, because the battery basically want to continue moving or staying still the way it was. I think it will be reasonable to just average out those two numbers. So you're looking at plus 6059 divided by 2. 5,790 pounds, maybe it's 5,800 pounds, something like that, right? So what is that weight? I mean, can you put that into perspective? Yeah. So as we just found out, the newest 911, which as we know has gotten heavier, because you're now looking at this kg2LB, so it's 3,300 pounds. So 911 is 3,300 pounds. An older 911, which is lighter, is 3,200 pounds. And this thing is almost twice, but not exactly. And then if you look at Chevy Suburban, which is this massive SUV that people love here in the United States, because we have some rural areas and snow and all that. And if you look for curb weight, the two-wheel drive is 5,600 pounds. Compare those two numbers, you will find that the Roadster is essentially your Chevy Suburban plus a grown man. Well, a grown man like me, because I'm small and tiny. But yeah, let's say we don't base this thing, we don't take the average, we just take the number that we came, the lower one, the lower of the two, so 5,500 pounds. That just means you put another grown man into your Roadster, it will be as heavy as a Chevy Suburban. And imagine a Suburban taking a fast turn. And people will say, oh yeah, the car has very low center of gravity. Sure. Even with a very low center of gravity, you need you still need just the grip from keeping your car not sliding, right? Because if you have a high center of gravity, you basically the car is not balanced. The one of the wheel gets more weight, and the other one gets less, and also you tilt a bit. So this thing probably won't tilt because all the weight is down below, probably around the axle of the actual wheel, but or slightly lower even. But the problem is, no matter how low your center of gravity is, right, it still will slide if it's heavy enough and then you want to turn it fast enough. So that just means maybe this thing doesn't turn. I don't know. We haven't seen this thing running the Nürburgring or anything like the Porsche's Mission E. Yeah, until I see this thing running around a track, I will keep I keep my doubts. Okay, so that's all for the Roadster. I find it myself a little bit incredulous just because the sheer weight of this thing might have. And hope you enjoy this. And if you did, subscribe and like, and I will post more videos and analyze some products or stocks. And yeah.